Good morning, I'm Deb, and this is All Abilities Homestead, where I hope to encourage and inspire you to overcome your preconceived limitations. With more than 25 years in a wheelchair, I've had to learn many creative ways to achieve my goals. The first one being stay positive. Don't let failure stop you from trying again. Just find a new way to approach it and give it another shot. This is week one of the Every Bit Counts challenge, and I decided this is the perfect place to start my YouTube channel. This week, I made apple butter from apples that just weren't getting eaten. And so here you see that I'm using up some limes that were in the refrigerator just to give a little bit of acid to the water and keep the apples from turning too brown. The reamer wasn't working so great. I couldn't push hard enough to get the juice out, so I used a fork to poke it and break the cells, and that way it was a little bit easier to push down and get the extra juice. I can't stand to waste things, so I'm determined to get every bit of juice that I can out of these before I throw them away. You may see me looking around and talking while I'm working on these things. I babysit my 3 grandsons, and so they're always around and helping. My daughter and son-in-law both work full-time jobs, so I recently moved to this area to be closer to them and be able to babysit my grandsons so that they're not going to daycare. None of my kids went to daycare, and I really would prefer that my grandkids not have to if we can help it. Not that I have anything really against daycares, I just feel like they need family. They need the love and support of their grandma. I've sped up the process a little bit on the video because it takes me a little bit longer to get things done than the average person, and nobody wants to sit and watch me chop apples for 30 minutes when it probably would take someone else 5 minutes. These are just regular apples. I couldn't even tell you what the type is. They were just 2 bags that someone had given me, and the grandsons decided that this was not going to be the month they were going to eat apples. So I just washed them really well and started cutting them up. I took the cores out, but I did not peel them because my hands just do not like to peel things. I cut off any dark spots, and then I just cubed them up and threw them in my Instapot, or actually mine's a Ninja, but it's the same as an Instapot. And then here shortly I will add 3 cups of sugar and 3 teaspoons of cinnamon. That's all that I put in it, nothing extra. 3/4 of a cup of water, and then I just put it in the pot, and I'll let the pot cook for 4 hours until it's soft enough to be able to puree it. I wasn't worried about the peel because I knew I'd be putting it through my Vitamix, and that's going to puree any peel to where it's non-existent anyway. Originally, my plan with all of this was I was going to water bath can it and have a bunch of cans in the cabinet. However, as I got working on it, about the time it was coming out of the pot, my son-in-law came in and got himself a big spoonful and decided that it wasn't going to last long enough to make it worth water bath canning. And then the next day he took it to work with him, and his team that he works with all had some, and so they asked if they could send apples to my house to make more. So I guess I'll be making more apple butter here in the near future to be going up to his work. You'll see, I just keep going, cutting away at the apples, throwing away the cores. I know I probably could have boiled the cores and made jelly or something else with it, but I got my hands full, so I just didn't even try. Right now, it's going into the acidified water to set well until I'm ready, and then I'll drain it off and put the pot in the cooker and let it go. Last time I had extra apples, I tried making applesauce for the grandsons, but we discovered they don't like applesauce. My grandsons are 2, 3, and 13, and right now the 3-year-old is going through picky eater stage, so he's not liking much of anything. I think next week I'll be making some fruit leathers with the applesauce and some yogurts that are in the refrigerator that he didn't like either. And we'll see how he does with fruit leathers. If nothing else, the 2-year-old will probably eat them. This is my handsome 13-year-old grandson. He's a big help in the kitchen. He reaches things in upper cabinets that I can't get to and picks things up off the floor when I drop them, which apparently is often. This is just me pulling out my iPad so that I can double check the recipe to see if there was anything extra that I needed to add. The recipe actually said that I could add cloves or nutmeg or allspice or any of those things. But I'm not really sure where they're at right now, and my family's not that picky, so I just went ahead and went with the simple ingredients. It did also say I could substitute pumpkin pie spice, and I might try that another time. I just didn't today. I went easy because I was trying to get it done and get out of everybody else's way. This is just my daughter was reaching spices and stuff down from me for me from the upper cabinet. And here I'm draining off the water into a colander in the sink. I can move my legs, I just can't stand up. So at least I'm able to use them to stabilize myself a little bit and to hold things in my lap. I've had arthritis in my hands since I was 11, and we did at one point look at replacing finger joints and stuff like that. But they've got a really short life expectancy on finger joints. You'd have to have them redone every 5 to 7 years. And they have limited weight. You really can't pick up anything heavier than a cup of coffee. Sorry, not sure where I lost you on that. You can't pick up more than a cup of coffee without the risk of dislocating finger joints. And so to me, it really wouldn't be worth it. I can do pretty much everything I want to do. And so if I'm just doing it for it to look prettier, it just wasn't worth the time. I haul bags of feed in my lap, and I haven't found much that I can't do other than tuck in a shirt, but I don't do that often anyway. That was just adding the sugar, and now I'm getting ready to add the cinnamon. And then I'll just get it cooking. I put these in the crock pot for 4 hours on high. It probably didn't really need 4 hours. Basically, you just want to stick a fork in it and see how soft they are. When they're soft enough to puree, they're ready to go. I just got busy doing other things, so they went the full 4 hours. And then they were good and mushy, and all I had to do was puree them down and get them in a container. My containers went straight in the refrigerator. This is what the apples look like after I added the sugar and the cinnamon, and I stirred it up really well to coat it. And after cooking for about 4 hours, it's now soft enough for me to be able to puree it. I'm only filling about halfway because it is still pretty hot and I don't want it to blow the top off and make a big sticky mess. You can see my sweet little 3-year-old grandson watching everything that I'm doing. He wanted to help, but I wouldn't let him. Goodness, do you ever look at yourself on video and think, how did I get that many chins? This is arguing with a 3-year-old. And I just keep this process up, one half pitcher at a time, fill it up, puree it, scoop it out. Fill it up, puree it, scoop it out. Because of getting arthritis so young and the developmental stages through that time, my arthritis has affected pretty much all the joints in my body. My neck doesn't move as much as it should, which contributes to some of excuse me, of my limited range on moving my head. And I've had both shoulders removed because they went in to do replacements and there wasn't enough bone left to attach a replacement to. So I have limited movement on my upper arms. Um, and so some of the movement may look a little awkward. It's pretty much because of my arthritis. I had mandibular reconstruction when I was about 18. They had to rebuild the whole bottom part of my jaw because during the growth period that just didn't grow at the same pace as the rest of my head and none of my teeth met. So I've had a lot of surgeries. I always say when they hand me paperwork at the doctor's office that they don't have enough lines on those forms. Obviously, all three of my kids were planned C-sections because they were high risk and they couldn't risk me pushing with my artificial hips. So there's a lot of challenges, but I'll teach you how to overcome pretty much every challenge. I guess maybe I should have sped this up even faster, or I maybe even cut out some of the section. I'm still learning how to do videos and figuring out the editing software, so bear with me. I'm sure the videos will get better. And this is what the finished product looked like. Now I'm working on some breadcrumbs. I had bought some bread on sale that I thought would be good and healthy for grandson's sandwiches. They had little seeds and bits in them, and 2 year old and 3 year old both turned their noses up at it. So I didn't want to just throw it away. I threw it in the freezer for a while, and then when I decided to work on this challenge, I pulled them out and put them in a pan in the oven and just let them dry out really well. And then now I'm going through and pureeing it all to make breadcrumbs. It will be used in future things. I think this night I made meatloaf for dinner, so I put a cupful in there. And I'll make my own shake and bake and anything else that I need breadcrumbs from or for. You can see I have no audio on this because once again I would be arguing with 2 year old and 3 year old while I'm trying to get things done. Those little hands and the pacifier are 2 year old Archer. I'm sure he'll stick his head in just in a second and you'll be able to see him. My grandsons all call me Lovey, and so since they started calling me that, now the kids and everyone else in the family does also. So as far as my family is concerned, my name is Lovey. I don't think I showed the picture anywhere, but what I'm using here is the dry pitcher for the Vitamix. That same pitcher can be used for grinding your own flour, and sometimes I do use it for that, but mostly it gets used for grinding up breadcrumbs or crackers or those type of things for putting in whatever I'm cooking. Once again, I'm speeding up the process because it takes me longer than most people, so I think I probably spent a good 40 minutes just tearing up bread and pureeing the bread. It gets frustrating sometimes that it takes me so long, but it gets done, and that's all that really matters. And I visit with grandsons while I'm working on it. Archer really wanted to help, and I'm pretty sure right here he's telling me how much he wants to help. While my kids were growing up, I always sat at the table and worked on things with them in the room also. And I thought I was teaching them to overcome any obstacles. I thought I was showing them that no matter what limitations you have, you can still get things done. And then as adults, I've discovered that it backfired on me because they see people struggling or having issues and they don't have empathy. They say, well, I don't want to hear you complain. My mom had arthritis and was in a wheelchair and she still did it, so suck it up, buttercup. So, not really the effect that I had planned, but it's what I got. And there we have full container of breadcrumbs and everything for making meatloaf. And here you can see that I got a great deal on chicken thighs, and so I went ahead and got a big package of those and packaged them up for the freezer for future soups and green chili and things like that. Thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe to help this channel grow.